At her birthday party, Amanda sat surrounded by friends and family, feeling happy and loved. She was turning 35, and everything seemed perfect. The cozy restaurant, the laughter, the clinking of glasses, and most of all, her husband Tyler, sitting close beside her. She leaned against him, thinking how lucky she was to have such a wonderful partner. Brooke, Amanda's best friend since college, stood up with a glass of wine in her hand. "Here's to Amanda," Brooke said, smiling brightly, "to years of friendship and secrets." Her voice was cheerful, but there was something sharp in her smile that made Amanda's stomach twist. She laughed along with the others, brushing off the odd feeling. As the night went on, Amanda began to notice little things. The way Tyler looked at Brooke when he thought Amanda wasn't paying attention. The way Brooke's eyes flicked to Tyler just a bit too often. "I'm overthinking it," Amanda told herself, shaking her head slightly. When Tyler handed Amanda a small box with a silver ribbon, she smiled wide as she opened it. Inside was a delicate necklace, the kind she'd always admired. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice filled with joy. Tyler smiled back, but for a split second, Amanda saw his eyes dart toward Brooke. Her stomach tightened again. Then Tyler's phone buzzed on the table. Without thinking, Amanda picked it up to pass it to him, but her eyes caught the message that flashed on the screen. "Last night was amazing. Happy birthday to her, but I'm thinking about us." Amanda's heart slammed in her chest. The message was from Brooke. She felt the room tilt slightly, her breath catching in her throat. She looked up slowly, first at Tyler, who was laughing with a friend, and then at Brooke, who gave her that same sharp little smile and raised her glass. Amanda forced herself to smile. Even as her hands shook, she pushed the phone back toward Tyler and let out a shaky breath. Outside, she kept up the act, but inside she was crumbling. She sat there, surrounded by love and laughter, feeling completely alone, wondering what on earth she was supposed to do now. The night after the party, Amanda sat alone in the quiet of their bedroom, the necklace Tyler had given her resting on the nightstand. She ran her fingers over it slowly, staring at the ceiling. Her mind drifted back to the day she met Tyler. It was years ago, in graduate school. He'd been magnetic, full of charm, funny, confident. She remembered how he'd walked into a room and made everyone laugh, how he made her feel special even when others were around. People warned her he was a bit too smooth, a little slippery with details, but she hadn't cared. She fell hard and fast. And Brooke had been by her side since they were kids. The wild, fun one, who always pushed Amanda to loosen up, to live a little. Amanda was the responsible one, the planner, the one who worried, but they balanced each other. Amanda never imagined anyone could come between them. But over the past few years, things had shifted. Amanda thought back to the nights Tyler cancelled dinner plans because of work, the times he answered calls in hushed tones, slipping out of the room. She remembered brushing it off. "He's just stressed. He loves me. Don't overthink it." But it chipped away at her, piece by piece. Brooke, meanwhile, had shown up more and more, always stopping by, always needing Amanda for something. Or was it Tyler she really wanted? Amanda thought of how Brooke's marriage had fallen apart last year, how she'd leaned on Amanda, crying and venting. Amanda had been there for her, every step, telling herself, this is what best friends do. And then there was the silent struggle Amanda had carried completely alone, trying to have a baby. For 2 years, she'd gone through tests, tracking dates, doctor visits. Tyler had been supportive at first, but then he grew distant, tired. "Let's take a break," he'd said once, brushing her off. Amanda had sat in the bathroom that night, quietly crying into a towel so he wouldn't hear. Even her parents weren't a source of comfort. They'd always been emotionally distant, polite, formal, but never warm. Amanda had grown up knowing she couldn't lean on them for softness or support. So she held everything in, tried to be the perfect wife, the perfect friend, the perfect daughter. But now, sitting in the dim room, she wondered if she had been blind. She thought of the way Tyler and Brooke had looked at each other over the past year, the inside jokes, the moments she thought she imagined. She thought of how often Brooke had touched Tyler's arm in conversation, how Tyler had laughed a little too hard at Brooke's jokes, how they had shared long looks when they thought Amanda wasn't paying attention. All those small betrayals Amanda had brushed aside were now rushing back like a wave, slamming into her chest. She felt exhausted, not just from the betrayal itself, but from all the years she had spent holding everything together on her own. She had worked so hard to be enough for everyone, to keep her marriage alive, to be the steady friend, the understanding wife. And what had it given her? A marriage slowly crumbling. A best friend slipping into a lover's role behind her back. A life that looked perfect on the outside, but felt empty inside. Tears burned at the corners of her eyes, but she forced herself to stay still. She thought about the way Brooke had hugged her at the party, whispering, "You're so lucky, Amanda." She thought about Tyler's distracted smile, his coldness when she reached for him in bed at night. She thought about all the times she had told herself, if I just try a little harder, if I just wait a little longer, things will get better. But tonight, after seeing that message, Amanda wasn't sure she could keep pretending, because this wasn't just about cheating. This wasn't just about two people she loved hurting her. This was about the cracks in her own sense of worth, her own belief that she mattered, that she was enough. Her hands trembled as she pressed them to her face. She felt the weight of years of silent struggles pressing down on her, the loneliness, the exhaustion, the deep longing for someone, anyone, to fight for her the way she had always fought for everyone else. And for the first time, Amanda wasn't sure she had the strength to keep holding all of it together. At her birthday party, Amanda had no idea her world was about to break. The night after, she sat in bed, heart racing, and quietly asked Tyler if there was anything he wanted to tell her. He chuckled softly, acting like she was being silly. "Amanda, you're imagining things," he said, shaking his head. "You're overthinking again." He smiled like nothing was wrong, like she was the one causing problems. Amanda felt herself shrinking, folding in on herself. She wanted to believe him, but the message on his phone last night wouldn't leave her mind. The next morning, her phone buzzed. It was Brooke. "Hey, can we grab coffee? I really need to talk to you about something important." Amanda's stomach twisted. She agreed, and they met at a small coffee shop. Brooke looked nervous, biting her lip as she sat down across from Amanda. "Thanks for coming," Brooke murmured. She reached out like she wanted to hold Amanda's hand. "I need to tell you something." Amanda's chest tightened. She gripped her cup, staring down at the steam. Brooke's voice trembled. "Tyler and we didn't mean for it to happen." Amanda's head snapped up. Brooke's eyes filled with tears. "We've been seeing each other for a few months. He said you two were basically over, that he was going to leave soon." Amanda's breath caught in her throat. She felt like the walls were closing in, like her body was too small to hold all this pain. Brooke went on, voice shaking. "We were going to tell you together. I swear, Amanda, I never wanted to hurt you. This has been hard for me too." Amanda stared at her best friend, the woman she'd trusted for years, the one who'd known all her secrets. She saw Brooke's tears, but they didn't touch her heart. All Amanda could think about was how she'd been played by both of them. Her two closest people had been weaving this secret life behind her back. Amanda stood up slowly, chairs scraping softly against the floor. Brooke reached out, panicked. "Amanda, wait!" Amanda shook her head, her voice barely there. "Don't." She turned and walked out of the coffee shop, the cool air hitting her face like a slap. Her legs felt weak, her chest hollow. As she walked blindly down the street, Amanda realized she wasn't just grieving a marriage or a friendship. She was grieving the loss of her trust, her belief that she mattered, her faith that love was enough. And now, alone and humiliated, she had no idea where to go next. Amanda lay in bed for the third day in a row, the curtains drawn so tight that not even a crack of sunlight slipped through. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, but she didn't reach for it. She already knew it wasn't Tyler. He hadn't come home the last 2 nights. He'd sent a short text. "I'll give you space." That was it. She tried calling her mother earlier that morning, hoping for comfort, for someone to tell her she wasn't crazy. But her mother had simply sighed. "Amanda, you always make everything dramatic. Just let him come home when he's ready." And then she changed the subject to a neighbor's garden. Amanda stared at the ceiling, blinking slowly. The silence in the room pressed down on her like a heavy blanket. She rolled over and grabbed her phone, swiping through old photos and videos. Here was Tyler, holding her hand on the beach. There was Brooke, laughing with her at a birthday dinner. There they all were at game night, clinking glasses and grinning wide. Amanda's chest tightened. Her thumb hovered over the screen. She wanted to delete it all, but she couldn't. Her mind raced in circles. Maybe this is my fault. Maybe I was too boring, too predictable. I focused too much on work. I stopped being fun. She pressed a trembling hand to her forehead, shutting her eyes tight. Did I push him away? She remembered all the small moments. The cancelled date nights, the "I'm working late" excuses, the times Brooke had just happened to stop by when Tyler was home. She'd ignored all of it. She'd wanted to believe her marriage was solid, her friendship unshakable. Now it all felt like a cruel joke. Her stomach growled softly, but she ignored it. She couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten. That night, she got up slowly, her legs stiff, and walked to the bathroom. The light was too bright after days in the dark. She squinted, gripping the counter, and lifted her eyes to the mirror. The woman staring back at her looked pale, tired, with messy hair and red-rimmed eyes. Amanda touched the mirror lightly with her fingertips, as if she was reaching for someone she no longer recognized. A soft whisper slipped from her lips. Who am I without them? Without Tyler, the man she'd built her future around. Without Brooke, the friend she'd shared every secret with. Without the life she thought was real. Tears blurred her vision as her body shook. The sobs came hard and fast, breaking free like a flood she couldn't stop. She slid down to the cold floor, pressing her hands over her mouth to muffle the sounds. In that moment, Amanda wasn't sure if she was mourning the loss of her marriage or the loss of herself. All she knew was that everything felt empty, and she had no idea how to climb out. Amanda's co-worker and casual friend Jenna dropped by unexpectedly one evening. Amanda had been curled up on the couch in sweatpants, staring at the wall, feeling like the air in the room was too heavy. She almost didn't answer the door, but when Jenna's voice called softly through the door, "Amanda, it's me." "Jenna." She forced herself to get up. Jenna stood there, holding a paper bag of takeout and a bottle of wine. "I figured you probably haven't eaten," Jenna said gently. Amanda hesitated, feeling embarrassed and raw, but she opened the door and let her in. They sat at the kitchen table, eating fries and sipping wine. For the first time in days, Amanda let herself talk. Jenna listened, her face sympathetic but calm. "I'm so sorry, Amanda," Jenna said after a while. "I always felt like Tyler was, I don't know, a little too smooth, you know? Like he was always performing." Amanda let out a bitter little laugh. "I feel like a fool. All this time I thought we were fine. I thought I was the problem." Jenna leaned forward. "Look, Amanda, you need to think about protecting yourself. Have you called a lawyer?" Amanda blinked. "A lawyer? Number I haven't thought about that." Jenna gave her a steady look. "You need to. I've seen this kind of thing before. Guys like Tyler, they don't just cheat on you emotionally, they cheat you out of money, out of security. You need to check your accounts. Make sure you're not about to be left with nothing." Later that night, after Jenna left, Amanda sat at her laptop, hesitating before opening the bank app. She stared at the numbers on the screen, her heart thudding. At first glance, everything seemed normal, but as she dug deeper, she saw things she hadn't noticed before. Transfers she didn't recognize, withdrawals she never made. Her name wasn't even on some of the accounts where the household money was supposed to go. Amanda's chest tightened. Tyler had been preparing for this, hadn't he? While she was trying to hold their marriage together, he'd been quietly moving pieces behind her back. The sadness that had weighed her down for days slowly began to shift. It hardened, cooled, turned sharp. Anger bubbled up. Amanda straightened in her chair, wiping her face. No, she wasn't going to let them win. Tomorrow, she would call a lawyer. She would gather every record, every document, every bit of evidence she could find. She had been a fool, but not anymore. Amanda meets with a divorce attorney the very next morning. She sits nervously in the sleek office, twisting her hands in her lap as the attorney, a sharp-eyed woman named Michelle, calmly reviews the documents Amanda brought. "Tyler has been preparing for this for a while," Michelle says carefully. "He's been shifting funds, moving assets, but you've caught it in time. If we act fast, we can protect what's rightfully yours." Amanda feels her throat tighten, but she nods. "I want to move first." Over the next 2 days, Amanda works quietly but steadily. She freezes their joint accounts, changes passwords to anything linked to her name, and backs up every piece of evidence. Emails, text messages, even the message she accidentally saw on Tyler's phone. Jenna comes over after work to help organize the paperwork, her steady presence giving Amanda strength. Amanda doesn't rush the confrontation. She waits until she has everything lined up, every document prepared, every loophole closed. Then one evening, she gets a text from Tyler. "On my way home, let's talk." Amanda feels her heartbeat slow. She places the legal papers neatly on the dining table, pours herself a glass of water, and waits. Jenna sits quietly nearby, a silent witness. The door opens, and Tyler walks in, his usual confident smirk on his face. "Hey, babe," he says casually, tossing his keys on the counter. "Feeling better?" Amanda looks up calmly. "Sit down, Tyler." He frowns, sensing the shift in her voice. "What's going on?" Amanda slides the papers toward him. "I'm filing for divorce." Tyler freezes, his hand hovering over the back of the chair. "What?" "I know about you and Brooke," Amanda says softly. "I have proof, and I've already spoken to a lawyer. You've been moving money behind my back, but you won't get away with it." For a moment, Tyler just stares at her, then his face twists with anger. "You're heartless," he spits. "You're going to throw away everything. After all we've built." Amanda doesn't flinch. Her hands are steady. "You threw it away, Tyler. I'm just making sure you don't get to walk away clean." Tyler's voice rises, but Amanda stays seated, calm, refusing to let him pull her back into the chaos. This time, she's in control. Brooke shows up at Amanda's door one rainy evening, mascara running down her face, her hair a mess, clutching her phone like it's the only thing keeping her upright. Amanda opens the door, surprised but calm, her arms folded across her chest. "Amanda, please." Brooke's voice cracks as she tries to hold back sobs. "Tyler, he dumped me right after you filed. He said it was over, that he was never serious. I thought he loved me." Amanda stands silently, watching Brooke unravel on the doorstep. Part of her aches with old loyalty, but another part, the newer, stronger part, feels steady. Brooke wipes her face, stepping closer. "Please, Amanda, I don't know what to do. You're my best friend." Amanda's voice is quiet but firm. "No, Brooke, you were my best friend, and you threw that away." Brooke's face crumples. "I didn't mean to." Amanda shakes her head softly. "You always needed to be wanted. You didn't care who got hurt along the way. I see that now." Brooke sniffles, her shoulders shaking, but Amanda doesn't step forward, doesn't reach out. "I'm not the boring, unlovable one you both thought I was," Amanda says gently. "And I don't need either of you anymore." She takes a breath, then adds, "I've already signed the lease on a new apartment. I'm starting fresh." Brooke stares at her, wide-eyed, realizing there's no rescue here, no comfort. Amanda walks her to the door, holding it open. "Take care of yourself, Brooke." Brooke lingers for a moment, as if expecting Amanda to break, to pull her into a hug, to forgive. But Amanda simply gives her a small, calm nod. And then, without anger, without drama, Amanda closes the door, shutting it both literally and emotionally, sealing the chapter for good. Amanda stands in her new apartment, barefoot on the hardwood floor, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. The space feels fresh, light, and a little bit empty, but not in a bad way. She walks over to the window, watching the sun sink below the city skyline, painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks. She pours herself a glass of wine and lets out a slow, steady breath. For the first time in a long while, there's no one demanding her attention, no voice pulling her in a dozen directions. Just her. Her phone buzzes on the counter. A text from Jenna. "Movie night tomorrow?" Amanda smiles softly, tapping out a quick reply. "Would love that. Let's plan." But she puts the phone down. Tonight isn't for anyone else. She walks to the small desk by the window where a blank journal waits, its cover smooth under her fingertips. Amanda opens it slowly, turning to the first empty page. She picks up her pen, pauses, and then writes carefully, deliberately, "Day 1. She leans back, staring at the words. They aren't dramatic or fancy, but they are hers. Outside, the last rays of sunlight fade, and Amanda feels, not fixed, not fully healed, but strong enough to begin again. Sometimes losing those who betray you is the first step to finding your true strength and peace.